Hey, what's going on, fellow money lovers? 2009 was a milestone for Lincoln cents, so I thought I'd make a video to talk about all the great bicentennial pennies that you can collect that are worth really good money. We're not just talking about ones that are graded crazy high. I'm going to talk about a little bit of history on each one, errors and varieties you can look for, as well as, of course, values, both graded and ungraded. So let's get to it. 200 years since his birth and 100 years since he first appeared on our coins, these coins are going to celebrate Lincoln all the way through. The U.S. Mint celebrated with 4 unique reverse designs for 2009, each telling a chapter of Lincoln's life. But here's the thing. Some of these bicentennial cents, even in your pocket change, can be worth more than face value. And when you factor in errors, varieties, and then of course really good condition examples, the numbers can surprise you. Let's go design by design and really talk values of each coin. First up, we have the birth and early childhood in Kentucky. This one was issued early in 2009. This reverse shows the log cabin where Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809. The mintage was hundreds of millions of these out of Philadelphia and Denver combined. Circulated values generally between 10 and 25 cents if they're super duper clean, but normally are just that face value of a penny. Graded values can get really high though, with ones and even low MS grades being in the $20 to $30 region, and ones closer to mint state breaking $100 or more at auction. But as far as errors and varieties, you can look for quite a few. Look for off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die cracks along the cabin roof. Double dies do exist, but are really subtle, so check United States of America for extra thickness in that doubling, and you'll want to get a loop to really see it. So even though they're common, high grade or error examples of these can bring good premiums in for those collectors. The second design is the Formative Years in Indiana, and this one gets a lot more interesting for variety hunters. This one has the reverse where it shows young Lincoln reading with rail splitting tools nearby. The design is really cool looking in my opinion. Circulated values, of course, beat up are usually around 1 cent, but can go in upwards of 15 to 30 cents for these. But graded values, when they're even in low MS grades up to MS 65, can be around $10 to $30. But closer to mint state around MS 67, especially with red toning, can exceed $150 to $200. There are varieties for this coin. This is the famous extra fingers coin. Several double die reverses have been found where Lincoln's right hand shows an extra thumb or finger. So some of those can sell in upwards of $150 or $200 in circulated grades, and then much higher if they grade really well. As far as errors, off-centers, die chips around the book and rail ends, and even misaligned dies have been certified by NGC and PCGS. So if you're roll hunting, this is the design I'd keep a sharper eye on. So bust out that loop and really take a look. The third design is the professional life in Illinois. Lincoln as a lawyer and legislator standing in front of the Springfield State House. This is another one of those great designs. Circulated values, of course, can be around 1 cent beat up, but in VF to XF can get around 20 or 30 cents. Now, when you send them off to get graded, they grade really well, especially if they're red. Then they can sell in upwards of $100 or more. So even for a regular old penny from the bicentennial designs, this thing sells for really good money. Errors are a little less known for these. They're less flashy than the Formative Years, but you can still find off-centers, you can still find clips, and die cracks on the building columns, so keep an eye out there. Varieties, there are minor double dies that exist, with extra thickness especially on the word Liberty. You can also see it in the date sometimes, but really you're going to want to focus on Liberty, but they're scarcer than on the previous design. So still worth checking, but there's less varieties and errors out there. And finally, we have Presidency in Washington, D.C. as the design of the reverse. This is another great one. It shows the U.S. Capitol dome under construction, and this symbolizes a nation in progress. Circulated values beat up a penny or two, but when they get to VF or XF condition, these can be worth an upwards of 25 cents, so not bad. Graded values, though, can get pretty good, with MS67 so really high with red toning, breaking the $100 mark, but lower grades still shooting around $10 to $20 in auction. Errors to look for that can heighten value greatly, though, would be die cracks through the dome, off-center strikes, and occasionally partial collar strikes. Those can be really valuable. Varieties to look for would be a few double dies that have been found, but they're very scarce, extra thickness in the lettering on United States of America, or E pluribus unum is going to be a dead giveaway. This design closes the Bicentennial set and is a really nice capstone, so to speak, for Lincoln's life story. So when looking for these, a couple of tips on how to make the most out of these in your hunts. First, check the dates. Any 2009s you should put aside. Then identify the design, know which ones have major varieties, like the formative years. Look for obvious errors like curved clips, off-center strikes, you know the deal, double dies, heavy die cracks. Those are going to be the money makers. Save some sharp examples, so if they're just really good condition, set them aside. Consider holding on to them and maybe throwing them out there for grade when you have the extra cash. These coins' designs were really liked when they came out, and a lot of them were hoarded right away. That's why you'll often find them in better shape than, say, 2006 or 2007 cents. So when you're building a set, chasing the extra finger variety, or just saving the best examples, the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cents are a short but rewarding series that I think everybody should take a look at. They're still out there, and the next one you find might be worth a whole lot more than just one little penny. So thanks for watching. I hope you have good luck in your next hunts. Let me know what you're coming across in the comments, and happy hunting.